Hello and welcome to Second Amendment Sis. I'm Steffanie Rivers and I'm here with my co-host Phyllis Petit. How are you, Phyllis?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. You seem kind of mellow. Everything, you had a good day?
It was busy. This whole week has been busy, and I've been agitated, but I'm taking the stance on not, to not let it not be agitated. It's been a
Okay.
busy week, and today is Wednesday, right?
It is Wednesday.
Okay, yeah. See how fast that went by? My goodness.
Yep, this whole month is going by. It's almost August.
Yes.
Summer's almost over. This week we don't want to let it pass. This past weekend, you participated in the bug out bag cook off, and
Yes,
you won. Get
that was
excited.
so much fun. I got over my fear of starting a fire. Um, I made a couple of mistakes. Number one, I had no business sitting down while I was trying to do it.
So you were trying to start a fire sitting down.
Yeah, I was sitting down. That's dangerous. And I had to get up. And then just being apprehensive about it. It's like when I don't know if you ever grew up in a house with gas stoves and we had to, turn the gas on and hear that and then stick the
Uh huh.
lighter or whatever in it and then get that. I hated that. I hated that, and I still do, right? So that was my fear that that's what was going to happen when I started the fire, right? And so you couldn't use a lighter or matches. So we had to use, other means like a fire stick, a fire starting stick to get a spark. And you
Mm-hmm.
get that spark, you give it to either lint, like from your dryer, which is really easy. But if you impregnate cotton balls with petroleum jelly, and by that I mean saturate the cotton ball with petroleum jelly. I don't know why they
Correct.
don't just say saturate, but Coach Gibson uses the term
Impregnate.
impregnate. Yes. So
I
you feel it.
don't remember him saying that, but
Yes,
maybe
you're
he was
filling
kidding.
it with petroleum jelly, right?
Okay.
And you kind of stretch it out, and it makes it burn longer. So once I got over there, and I had some great help, Jeffrey Booker and Kirby. They were
Mhm.
like right there to help me. They helped a lot of us. There was actually 6 cooking teams, and we let some teenagers were there. My daughter and 2 other young men um, were there, and they were our judges. So they got to taste the food to make sure it even, if it tasted like it was supposed to taste. And I did not do pot roast like I threatened to do, but I did scrambled eggs with like bacon bits in it. And so it was tough because you had to keep that fire going long enough to get things to boiling, right? So that
Mhm.
it could cook whatever you had. If it was something that you just poured hot water in or whatever it was. And some people had, I mean, they had some good stuff. One guy had like progresso soup with noodles in it. And then this other guy, they were with Huey P. Newton Gun Club, and they had one guy had like a can of chicken breast,
Uh-huh.
and even Babu had like rice aroni with freeze dried vegetables in it, and his grill was like kind of big, but it would literally fit in his bug out bag. He had this nice pan with a lid. I was like, I want that. My stove was small and it collapsed all the way flat, but it had a sturdy enough base on it that you could put a nice sized pot on it, right? Without anything, threatening to fall over or whatever. So it was a lot of fun. It was a
Well,
lot of.
good. I'm sorry I missed it, but so I know that it's important, and I said I was going to go out and practice doing it on my own. Um, but we have a lot of people interested in what we're planning to talk about tonight. Because every once in a while, Phyllis, we have to stop and, instead of talking about the theory of an altercation, we
Mm-hmm.
actually want to ask people their opinion on a real life situation that happened. So tonight, well, first we want to say we are multicasting, so you might be watching us on Facebook or YouTube or LinkedIn or even Twitter, but you are welcome to join us live, so you can give us your opinion on the video that we're going to show. A lot of people have seen it, or if you want to chat with us in the live chat, you can do that. I've already put the link in the chat, and so we ask that you come on in, and the discussion will bring everyone up, and we'll try to keep it moving. If we have a lot of people waiting, then we'll rotate out our guests. But tonight we're talking about this episode is about the video. The title of the video um, was something from a different store, but essentially this video is we're calling it the auto store shooting, and
Mhm.
essentially it's the shooting where an employee of O'Reilly's auto parts store in uh, Cleveland, Ohio. Was it Cleveland? And I had this all written out. But in Ohio, no, Dayton. It was in Dayton, Ohio. She essentially, the employee, shot a customer. Apparently, they got into an altercation. Maybe the employee wasn't well versed in where everything was in the store, how much it cost. I don't know what happened, but essentially, the video has gone viral. So I am going to show the video, and then we're going to talk about, if you were the judge, if you are the judge or you are on the jury, would this be something that you would convict this person of? Do you think it was self-defense or it's not self-defense? So let me try to pull up this video and show it right now. I'm gonna start it over.
Court number. You act like you ain't been here long. Stupid ass bitch. Fuck, your mama stupid. Now come back here. Come up behind that counter and tell me my mama stupid. Beat your ass, bitch. Who mama stupid? Bitch. What, bitch? What? What, bitch? What? Bitch? What? Bitch, who mama? Huh?
Oh, it's a fight in here.
Bitch?
It's a fight in here.
What's wrong with you? You're not some rabbit ass motherfucking man. Bitch, you heard what I said. Bitch.
Oh shit. Oh shit. This bitch just shot her in here. Oh shit, she just shot her. Wayne, grab the battery. I'm out of here. I'm out of here. Time to go. Watch out.
You sorry? You sorry?
Can I get out of here? Grab the battery, Wayne. Grab the battery. I'm out of here.
Why would you do that?
She just shot this bitch in the stove. I'm out of here. I'm out of here.
Bitch, you sorry? Bitch, you sorry? Huh? You already turned it out, bitch.
Okay, so I forgot to say in advance that I wanted for us to excuse the profanity. There's profanity in it, and I forgot to say that. So I apologize that I did not say that in advance. And so essentially, that was the video, and we can play it again, but I'm sure people have seen all that they need to see. And we have a few people waiting in the wings, but before we add those people to the conversation, Phyllis, in your opinion, just by looking at the video, what would you say that was justified self-defense, or it was assault? The person who did the shooting, would
Now,
they?
when we're coming from the streets, I would have shot her too. But legally, she's wrong.
So
Because she took that too far. She should have been in our de-escalation class, okay? She took it too far. She should have called the authorities when the woman came behind the counter, and she didn't retaliate with the same level of she took it too far by
force.
she took a gun and shot her. It's like she was mad because she lost the fight, so she shot her.
Now I'm going to show you the picture of the auto parts employee, and I can let you know while we're looking at her picture. Essentially, her name is Kay LaRon Watson. She's 31 years old, and she now we don't know if she's a former employee or she's a current employee. But on that day in early July, she was an employee, and she is charged with 2 counts of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. And she's charged with 2 counts because she shot her twice. Mm-hmm. So I guess she was like, bam, bam, because I only thought she shot her.
Which even further makes it even worse. You shot her twice. You stood over her and taunted her. You kicked her. Oh, she took it way too far. And yeah, she got fired that day. She was fired that day.
Now her bond hearing was just this past Monday, and the judge set her $50,000, and the woman we'll leave the woman who she shot, we'll leave her name out. But essentially, Watson, the shooter, called 911 right after the altercation, and according to the news reports, the Miss Watson told 911, the operator, I just had a customer jump on me. She put her hands on me. She pulled my hair out and everything else. And while she was beating me, I shot her. Now, that's what she told the 911 operator. Now, apparently, the Miss Watson didn't know that somebody was recording, or maybe she just, because
I don't think she cared.
Her account, why wouldn't you care if somebody was recording you and you telling a different story? Your account of what happened and what the video show was not matching up. So that,
she incriminated herself by saying, I just shot I had a customer put their hands on me. She jumped on me and I shot her. You calling us now? You should have called us before you shot her. The fight was over. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So
so I'm gonna
talk that ass whooping up. She got me. But to now because you decided to shoot her twice.
Your audio is a little. I don't.
She shot her in front of a store full of people with
cameras
going on, no doubt.
I don't know why I can't hardly hear you, Phyllis. And your audio is going out. In the meantime, we're going to add some guests to the conversation. We've got T.E. Foster. Welcome to the show. You don't want to show your face tonight, Miss Foster? And we've got David Nickelberry. Welcome to the show, David. So go ahead and talk for us, David, so we can make sure we can hear your audio. Okay, I'm not sure why. Are y'all hearing me? You're hearing me. Okay. And we've got Tyson Reddick. Welcome to the show, Tyson. And
you have them on mute?
Okay. Hey, Miss T.E. Foster. Okay, so you're on another. Let me go back up. I've got you on two cameras. You got two camera angles going on, ma'am.
Foster?
Okay. So at any rate, I'll pick one of those for Miss Foster. But let's start with David. David, what do you, in your opinion, if you were the judge or you were on the jury, what would you say to that video? Would you think that was justified self-defense or that was assault?
All right, you can.
Can't hear you.
Okay, David, we can't hear you. Okay, let me turn up your volume and see if that helps. Go ahead.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Nope. Okay,
Yes.
you can hear me. So no, if it's justified, me personally, if I was vote to convict, um, I I'm of my got what you deserve. You pick the fight, attack someone, and in these days we hit someone, get punched, and they die. In my view, it's getting in a fight and getting punched and hit in the head. To me, now by the laws really say the same, but we have seen skin tone get be charged just for that reason.
Well, and yeah, we that's something that we'll talk about on later on in the conversation. That that quite frankly, I thought she might get something more than assault. That's what I thought. But I guess because they were fighting, they they were well, the girl, the customer was the one that was doing most of the hitting, if not all of the hitting, because we don't know what led up to the fight. But so your opinion is, David, that because she was getting punched and that she was justified in getting that going behind the counter and coming out with a weapon. Because here's the thing, in also when the police got there, when the police got to the scene, Miss Watson ended up telling the police officers that she thought the woman was going to come behind the counter. Like when she went behind the counter, the employee, she thought the woman was following her behind the counter. And that's why she came back out with the weapon and shot her. Even though the video clearly shows the woman was turning away from her when she was shot by the employee. So are you saying still, despite all of that, are you kind of like Phyllis, if it's in the streets, then she deserved to get shot?
Well,
Well, I
I
ain't say
mean,
she deserving. I'm just
by the
saying the
laws
street code.
that
Yeah.
she, she's not just at all, especially when the um, tried to run or whatever. She's not justified by law standards. Like I said, I have no attacking someone uh, when these situations just with fist fight. My One of my biggest issues, I guess you say, if I was, I would bring up is white men who have shot someone being pushed, only being pushed. Florida, we had that here in Texas. I think it was Chicago, just shot and never even charged. For me, I, that doesn't mean that's wrong, but I wouldn't vote to convict.
So let's bring in Tyson Reddick to the conversation. Tyson, thanks for calling in or coming into the show. Now, you saw the same video. What would be, if you were the judge or the jury, what would you say about that video? Was that justified for the employee to shoot her or no?
No, not at all. This in this age, especially with having so many new gun owners, new firearms owners, uh, people are too quick to determine that that is the first solution to a problem. And I hear it all the time, all around me at work and other environments. the first thing they think is, oh, if something happens, I'm going to shoot him. I'm going to shoot him. And I'm thinking, you don't have pepper spray, you don't have a large flashlight in the car or the truck. It just, you don't have any other option other than to start with shooting. And this is a prime example of someone who decided, hey, we had a fist fight and that thing was pretty much over. And she was behind the counter. She could have continued on behind the counter. She could have retreated. She could have done anything else. It was de-escalating at that point. The fight was over. And then she showed up and produced a firearm. And so she could have produced a broom, a mop, anything, instead of a darn firearm. And so, yeah, it's definitely something that, as a judge, I would definitely want to set an example that this is not the way we want to behave with firearms. We want that to be the last resort, not the first option.
And Foster, I see you nodding your head. So you agree with Tyson?
100%. Can you hear me?
Yes.
100%. Definitely. Like you mentioned, it should be the last resort. As a firearms owner, obviously you want to avoid, right? And de-escalate and all those things. But what kind of bugged me out a little bit was the customer. This is how callous we're getting. I think he said, grab the tire or something like that. Like, that's what his thought was at that moment. Oh, she got shot. Oh, grab the tires on the, like, that's where we are with humanity nowadays. It's people are so callous.
Oh yeah, I thought he was saying, "Oh, I came in for a battery. Let me get my battery and get on out of here." Man,
Yeah, he's like,
that's
grab
what I thought. So you think that they were using that opportunity to maybe steal some stuff, maybe?
He probably did. He probably did. I didn't even think about it like that. Actually, I didn't really think that far as he stole it or anything like that. But it's like, wow, this is where we are. Grab the bat. It's like, wow, no one's here to render aid. No one's here to do anything to anyone. It's like, he's filming, they're filming, and all that. No one's calling the police. And it's like, wow, But definitely, as Tyson mentioned, I don't care if you're on the streets, you're going to jail. Clearly, she was getting her behind served to her. And she went and felt it was a loss. So now it's like the internet sensation. She got whooped and she went and got a firearm. That's not a force on force, That's not, it doesn't equate at all.
So when I I think like you do as well, that it was clearly the woman was turning her back on her and she shot her in the back and then started stomping on her. But then it's seeming like that, how you'll see a video and you'll think, oh, it can't be anything other than the way that it's seen on video. And then once it goes to trial, or once the person's attorney gets involved, then they can come up with this whole other storyline or narrative that you didn't even think about, because now Miss Watson, the former O'Reilly's employee, the shooter, is saying, I felt like she was about to attack me again, and that's why I went back and produced a firearm, and so it seems like that's going to be her defense, is that she punched me a bunch of times, and as it's been said, a punch can be
Deadly.
Right, deadly. So let's talk about that. Do you think that there's any chance that because a punch can be deadly, that the woman, the shooter, the employee, felt like her life was in that much danger that she was trying to meet a deadly force with a deadly force?
I can go.
David?
Well, go ahead.
Go with David. You got it.
Okay. So we were talking about in Florida, where the man was put police, then not charged, could have been deadly to the ground. Now, he shot a black man. Of course, he's not going to get charged. That particular situation, they said force, just pushing a man. In the last, I think, 2 weeks, getting into a fight, one punch, and the guy seizures and dies. A punch can be considered ruined. As soon as she starts talking, you you ruin your you get involved in anything. Never say talking. So she's kind of screwed that up. But as far as deadly, absolutely. Example.
So, Foster, what do you want to add to that?
I do believe that, depending on who you are, and I'm not saying the lady doesn't have like skills. Like if it's Mike Tyson, that's powerful. That's deadly weapons right there. Muhammad Ali. And I'm not saying because it's a woman or whatever the case may be, but it was clear there was a break in between. There's a difference if there wasn't that break in between. And again, the store cameras probably captured all of it. So we really don't know before really what took place in a sense. But there was that break. There was a break. And I can't say that I know how she felt at that time, if she felt fear for her life, but it was clear there's a break in between, and she became the agitator, the aggressor, and she taunted the woman at the end, So I don't think I could bet money on this. She is going to jail. You understand? She's going to jail
already. She's not
Yeah,
getting out.
Yeah, she's going to jail. She's going to. That's it.
Well, I think she's still, her $50,000 bond. I don't think she made the bond. Last I heard, that was enough to keep her in jail. But now we have some people who are live chatting. Babu Omawale says legally the shooter was not justified as there was no immediate threat, but morally, if you beat someone up at their job, there are no rules. Because had she not shot her and the woman had just beat her like that, then the woman would be probably in jail right now.
Yeah.
But because she took it that far, then she became the aggressor, let's say. And like Babu was saying, you meet like force with like force. And so I did look up we're talking about a punch being deadly. And so I looked up the factors that are considered legally for a punch to be deadly. And Foster, you mentioned that if you're fighting a Mike Tyson and he's a professional boxer, then of course that could be considered as a deadly punch. But so it's saying the factors to consider are the strength of the attacker. So, I guess, was it a feeble person who was punching you or an able-bodied person? The experience of the attacker, and then that goes back to, is it Mike Tyson? Is it, a fighter that that's what they do for a living? Do you see them in the gym, fighting? Are they a boxer, what have you? The next one is the age of the defender. Some elderly people suffer severe injury from a fall. So if the defender is an elderly person, if that person is fearful, if I fall or if they hit me the wrong way, I could die, then that would be suffice for, considering a person's age. And then the physical state of the defender. Is the person paralyzed already? Are they in a wheelchair that you're fighting? Are they on crutches and you're fighting them? So some of these things would help for a judge or a jury to say, a punch could further harm this person. So, and your audio, Phyllis, is still very low. I'm not sure how we can fix that. But in the meantime, Tyson, do you want to add anything?
Can you hear me?
I've seen situations where the person is just helpless. They in a fight and they're at a point where they can't fight back. And I've seen that that is the point where it's also determined legally that that person is at that point helpless, and you have a responsibility to stop beating on them. So once a person is down, they're on their back, they're not able to defend themselves anymore, you cannot continue to just beat them because you're angry at them and you want to see them, you know, you're just pummeled. You can't continue to do that. So even in a fist fight, there's a point where you take the aggression way too far, and if that fight had continued and one of them or someone was on their back and unable to defend themselves, then at that point you still have the responsibility to stop punching them.
And so we were talking about, not getting involved, and how people were standing around and watching. And Meeks is saying, he's in the chat, he's saying he wouldn't blame the customers for not getting involved. Maybe because she had a weapon and you don't want to run up on people with a gun. But I would say something like, screaming, trying to break the trance of the altercation, saying, hey, stop, what are you doing? Something to jar the woman. And even when the woman was punching the employee, saying, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? It can't be that, something to break the trance, I would say would be safe to do. Because I think, Foster, like you're saying, a lot of us, our society, we're getting to the point where we want to be bystanders and record everything, or we don't understand the power that we have to make a change, even if it's in the middle of something like that, to make people realize what you're doing is not the right thing. So yeah, I mean, I understand with Meek saying, and some of you who might feel like you would not want to get involved, you would just stand back. But that's not something that, it's not helpful. You want to be helpful in that moment. David, do you think you would have wanted to step in or say something? And Phyllis, we still can't hear you.
Can't hear me? Okay.
I can hear you, like on a scale of 1 to 10, you're like a 2.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'm gonna leave and come back.
Go to dynamic audio and change. But yeah, I think the guy to him, I think I want to get out of here now before the police come. Everybody's a son, get a gun pointed at him until they figure out what's going on. He was talking about that, but the last thing you were talking about is the deadly with a punch. I totally get some of those things, even though that's what the law says. That's what the law says. But got into a fight and twice, and she died on the way home. In the military, we teach women it takes 1 or 2 punches for a man. So it's saying by any means that she was just in shooting someone, but I am a good lawyer, can get her off.
Okay, David, I don't know if it's the system or what, but you're a little choppy as well. But I know you were saying that essentially about it being, deadly force, and how someone in recent an incident where someone was punched, and they had a seizure, and they died. And so, yeah, I mean, those things happen. And that proves that a punch can be deadly. And so again, maybe the shooter thought that, I'm sure her life flashed before her eyes at all those punches she was taking. But it just didn't. It
Go.
wasn't. It wasn't life threatening in a sense that she had to. She didn't meet force with like force. So we have another person on the in the chat who wants to join us, and it's Meeks in
Mr. Meek.
uh, Michigan. How's it going, Meeks?
Yeah, mic check, mic check. Can everybody hear me good?
You're
Fantastic.
You're good. So, what do you want to add to this conversation? If you were the judge or on the jury, would you have compassion? Because we kind of all see where the woman was walking away. I mean, that's quite clear. The customer was walking away, and she was shot in the back. Would you have compassion though for her if you were the judge or on the jury and say, you know what, I understand what happened, or would you be like, no, this is the law, you going to prison?
If I was a judge, I'd have to follow the law. Unfortunately, judges aren't, judges of compassion. They're judges of the law. And if she is a legal gun owner, she has a responsibility to follow that law. And she didn't do that. Now, I understand that in the midst of a situation, you don't always make the right choices. But as a gun owner, you really and truly have to make those choices. You have to make the right choice. You don't have an option of making a mistake. If you make a mistake, you go to jail, and she should go to jail for that. That was not self-defense at all. The threat was no longer imminent. She
She blacked
just like
out.
this. I'm sorry.
She blacked out.
I mean, yeah, she probably did, but again, you have to control yourself. You can't just allow someone else to knock you off your square to the point where you commit a heinous act like that.
Exactly.
Ultimately, she is responsible for her own actions. Now, if she had her firearm on her while she was in the midst of getting her butt kicked and then
Right.
drew her firearm and shot the lady, that would be
Mhm.
self-defense, because then the threat would be imminent. Or
Exactly.
after she retreated behind the counter, if the lady had came back for her again and attacked her again, then she would be justified in using lethal force. Like, okay, you didn't kick my ass one time, I'm in retreat. If you're gonna come after me again, I got something for you.
Right.
But
Right.
instead, she left from behind the counter because she mad. Take the L.
That's what I
Take the
said.
L.
She just should have talked it up and called the
Yeah,
cops and relished in the fact that she was going to jail, and press
exactly.
charges on her civilly or whatever. Or see her in the streets when you're not at work. But to do that in front of everybody, she blacked out. She clicked out is what we call it in the streets. She clicked out, and then she stood over and taunted her. They're gonna show all of that in her trial,
Mm-hmm.
every bit of it.
Yep.
She has a
But
gang of
She dug her
evidence.
own. She dug her own grave, got in it, and pulled dirt over herself.
She did.
And
She
I
kicked
stand
her.
corrected. I
no,
stand corrected. I said
I have a
she's going to jail. She's not going to jail. She's going to prison.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she
oh yeah.
going to prison.
She going to
Oh
jail
yeah, she
first.
in jail
Then
First,
right
once she
now.
convicted,
true,
She in
true.
she
jail right now,
convicted
but
and
she catching
sentenced,
that.
then
She
she going to
catching that
prison.
goose.
Yeah.
She's catching
Mm-hmm.
that goose. Yeah,
Oh
she's
yeah.
not
So,
getting out.
okay.
Say hi to Bertha when you get there.
Right, right. And I mean,
David.
and
Oh,
she
sorry.
she still looked like was clicked out from her mugshot.
She looked
I
like
think
she
she
wouldn't got no, her
I think
mugshot
she
looked
was
like she
clicked
shouldn't have
out
gotten
from the
hit.
jump.
Like
See, I didn't want. I was gonna say, but she did not look like one that
who get whooped.
she looked what my grandmother used to call half cocked anyway. And I wish I could see the whole video as to what happened that started this whole process, because the woman was basically calling her slow.
Oh.
That's what
You
started, was
stupid.
just words. Words
Yeah,
is what started.
exactly.
And
Exactly.
you cannot escalate words to a lethal encounter. You
Oh
just
no.
can't. That's
Okay.
that's not legal.
David, did you want to add something? Yeah. You want to add something, David?
Yeah. I just had a question. We see this repeatedly. Who are not charged for less. So we're judging this in the court of law can say shot someone for simply a or a scary look, and a lawyer can fight that if court-appointed attorney.
I didn't
Did y'all
catch
hear
all
that?
of that. No, somebody translate.
So you said that her attorney can say that she was afraid for her life based on.
No. What I'm saying, could fight, could argue cases with white men, white women, and for less violence, just pushing someone, and for not charged. So a lawyer could probably support.
Okay, so now what you're alluding to, the fact is around charging someone. So because you and I talked about this before, and you said that there have been cases, and I um, looked up these cases that said if you are a darker skinned person or a black person, that you're likely to be charged whether or not but if you were a white person in this case, they might have charged you with something of a lesser charge, or you might not have been charged. They would have found a way for them to say it was self defense, versus if you are a black woman or a black man, that they automatically assume that you were the uh, aggressor, that you did something wrong. So I didn't hear your whole comment, but I do remember that we spoke about this before. So do you guys think that if you based on the hue of your skin, that you are more subject to being charged, or your charge will be more, it'll be a tougher charge? They'll charge you with something harsher, or you'll be charged with a felony instead of a misdemeanor based on if you're a black woman or a black man? Or you guys think no, that has, it's not like that, especially in this in this instance?
Who want to take that one?
I didn't hear you.
Does anybody want to take that, or shall I? Shall I take that question?
Oh.
I'll take it.
Start off.
I'll jump on it. As black people, we know that the law is not always in our favor. In this instance, you got two black women going at each other. Obviously, the law is not going to, patty cake one of them over the other. Because as far as the system goes, oh, these are just two animals killing each other. Let them do it.
Mhm.
And whoever's still alive at the end of it, we're going to throw them in jail. That's how the
Mhm.
system views us. Now, if
Mhm.
the aggressor if the lady was a white lady who put her hands on that lady, oh yeah, that won't be under the jail, under the prison. Oh, they would throw the book at her even harder than they already are
Mhm.
going to.
Mhm.
And if the woman who shot that woman was a white lady and that was
Mhm.
a black woman she shot, oh, she would
Mhm.
definitely get a lesser charge.
Mhm.
And a lot
Because
of that
she
has to
feared for her
depend
life.
on the prosecutor.
Mhm.
What type of prosecutor do you have? Do you have a prosecutor who goes after criminals really hard? Or do you have a racist prosecutor? Or do you have one of these, house Negro prosecutors who trying to please their white master? All of that has to
Mhm.
play into it. So there's no cut and dry black and white answer to that. It really depends on a lot of different factors.
Can y'all hear me now?
Perfect.
Yes.
Much better.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
My question.
Tyson. Well, let's let Tyson jump in and see what he has to say. Then we'll go to Frosty. Then we'll come back to you, David, and we want to add another guest. So, Tyson, go ahead.
Okay, I agree with my cousin. Meek said it well. I do. I see that a lot of the things that happen um, in my area, in the Houston area. I see that a lot of times we don't adhere to the letter of the law, and so we try to equate what we did with what somebody else did, and it's not legally the same. That we
Right.
did not do exactly what they did, or we not. It's not apples to apples. Sometimes it's apples to oranges, and then we say that, oh, they judged us wrong. And in reality, if you look at the cases, they're not identical. They're not identical. So I agree that I mean this shooting that we just had at the mall, the shooting in Indiana. When the police got there, they ran after the good guy that
Mm-hmm.
shot the gunman. They went
Mm-hmm.
after him, and they held him until they watched a surveillance video before they were willing to believe he was not the original shooter.
Mm.
So he was white. Okay. And
Oh,
so sometimes when the police get there, they just don't know. And it has
Right.
nothing to do with them being racist. It has everything to do with them trying to secure a scene, trying to make sure that everything is legitimately safe, and then analyze everything. So a lot of times it's not that, but we know that, yeah, many times we're not getting the benefit of the doubt when they
Right.
show up for us. But I got one other point I need to make. One other
Okay.
There's something inherently wrong with us as a society when we are spending time recording these
yes.
incidents and not calling 911. Even if we're not going to physically get involved, we could notify the police. And I have
Indeed.
one incident that I'll refer to. Philadelphia subway. Woman's riding on the subway, and a man starts beating her and beginning to rip her clothes off. They let that woman ride the whole line with everybody on the car recording it. Nobody calling 911. And at the end of the line, the police came onto the subway and stopped the man from raping her.
Mm.
In
That is
front of everybody. Yes.
in front of everybody. That's
I couldn't
ridiculous.
do that.
Now they want to press charges on the people who were recording it and not calling
Doing
911.
anything.
It's
Right.
something wrong with us
It was
when
what,
we
12 to
stand around
13
and
minutes?
just record.
It was 12 to 13 minutes of this going on, and he literally raped her in front of all those people.
Mm.
And
Mm.
not one person helped her. No man, no woman, I couldn't have been there.
You
Yeah.
know, as an instructor, you know, we talk about this all the time in CPL classes. Even police don't like going to domestic dispute calls. They're the worst calls to go to. It's one thing for you to happen upon something already in progress. It's something totally different to see something start off from the beginning. Now that woman was just sitting there minding her own business, and this guy just ups and attacks her. You know, okay, they're not together. They're not in a relationship. They're strangers to
Mhm.
each other. Me personally, I can't just sit there and watch that. I can't do it. But I do understand the hesitation. All it takes is one person, though, and we've all
Yes.
seen it. People just sit back because nobody wants to be the first one to say something. Nobody
That's
wants
not
to be the
him.
first
It's
one to
all
do
of you
anything.
guys versus one of him.
Yeah, but
Right.
nobody wants to be the first, Phyllis. That's the thing. All
I'll
it
be the
takes is
first.
one
I
person
will be the
to.
first.
All it takes is one person, and most of my life, I've always been that person. I'm the one that's gonna speak up when everybody else
Me,
scared to say something.
me too.
I'm the
And
one
that's
that's
why I
going.
stay in trouble. That's
Yeah,
why I
I'm
stay
not
in
gonna
trouble.
sugarcoat the truth. I'm gonna tell it like it is, whether you like it or not. Deal with it. I don't care. Yeah, that's always been me.
For sure.
As a child, I always grew up loving Marvel and DC comic books. I had a hero, complex, and
Okay.
then I became a gun owner. Then I
Mhm.
saw the liability that gun owners have to go through when they decide to put on a cape and put an S on their chest and become Superman.
Mhm.
I
Exactly.
can't I can't save everybody. I'm not gonna try to save everybody, but there
But
are
within
some
reason.
instances. Yeah, it's
Within
got to be
reason.
within reason. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
He
mean,
was on his
you have a
now.
split
If he's
second to
raping
make that
her,
decision.
If he's raping her, he can't even see what's going on above him or behind him.
I'm coming
You
up
mean
behind him,
tell
putting him in a
me?
chokehold.
Right. I would have lodged his nuts into his nostrils.
Yeah. And I
I had
guarantee you,
she's
all
getting
it
it
takes is
You
done.
one.
gotta call 911.
Yeah, he can't
I,
get
I,
us all.
I guarantee you, all
Nobody
it
has
takes is one.
anything.
If one person on that train had engaged him, I guarantee you, a bunch of other men definitely would have got up and backed him up. Everybody is okay with being the backup.
Right.
Well, I'll back up, I'll back
Yeah,
your play.
yeah.
But nobody really wants to be the initiator. Nobody wants to be the main guy because that's the one the police gonna come talk to. Well, what did you do? Well, I need your ID. Oh, wait, you got warrants. You don't. Oh shit! Not being a good guy about to get me put in jail.
Now I'm going to jail. I don't care. I would have took it. I would have took it.
But
Nine-one-one.
most people are not like you and me, Phyllis. Most people are not
Right.
like us. We are a rare
911.
breed.
I
So
mean,
We
we
even if they're not bold enough, my point was simply
Just call
somebody
the
could have
police.
stopped recording and call
and call the
911.
police.
I
Yeah.
mean, you
some
don't. I mean, even if you're not gonna jump in, you can step to the back, call
pull the
911.
pull the
But you're
emergency
busy
brake.
trying to
That's what
Ain't
I'm
record
saying.
it
nobody
They
going
have to
nowhere
stop
till we
the
so you
stop
can
there.
train
share
or
it with somebody.
That's
anything.
what I'm saying. Scream or something. Now we have another person who's come to the conversation, Kevin Brown. Hey, Kevin, welcome to the show. How are you? Okay, we're not hearing Kevin. So, Frosty, did you want to add anything to what they were saying?
Yes, absolutely. I totally agree with Tyson in regards to it's just knowing the letter of the law, right? When you think about, I believe his name was Kyle Rittenhouse, I think his name was.
Mm,
You know,
Uh
mm.
huh.
I don't know if he staged that entire week or that day, but he did everything to the letter of the law. And that's really important for us as Black folks to understand the law itself. And so just to answer your question, when you're talking about the complexion, your complexion, Black, if you get more time, et cetera, et cetera, I think it comes down to knowing the law. If you don't know it, no one's going to help you. Your your lawyer, attorney, or your court-appointed attorney, no, they're not going to help you. They're going to ask you to plea bargain, right? To take a plea. So at the end of the day, it's really you as a person. I always think that all criminals or people that believe that they need to obstruct the law, they need to know the law at the end of the day. So that's really, really important. It's just knowing the law, know what you can and cannot do. It's not so much that it's unfair. Yes, we already know that it's strategically made to oppress us. It's the law is not made for us per se. However, you have to know the law. If anything, you have to know more than the lawyers as a Black person, in
Mm-hmm.
order to circumvent the law.
Yeah, to even
So
know that your lawyer, your court-appointed lawyer, is representing you well, you need to know the law to
absolutely,
make sure that
Don't
he
get no
knows what
court
he's
appointed
doing.
attorney.
and that's the thing, they can't
Do
afford it.
not ever get a court appointed attorney. That is your worst
Mm-mm.
decision ever.
Do a
They
plea
are
deal.
not on your side. They
Yeah.
work with the prosecutors, the police,
Mm-hmm.
and the judges. They are all on the same team and they will all
Indeed.
bend you over. Your
Their
court
job.
Yeah.
appointed attorney is not working in your best interest. His job is to just get you to take a plea so the judge can go play golf or go, have
So
sex
he
with his
can leave.
mistress.
So he
Yeah,
can leave
his
and
job is
go
just
So
to
to
clear
the
the
next
cases.
case that he don't want to work for
There it
free.
So
is.
then you need to have what an attorney on retainer, or you need to have, there's a lot of these,
Firearms legal protection.
right?
Yeah,
There's a lot of,
USCCA, something. U.S. Legal
Yes,
Shield, Texas Law Shield, something. Have some
something.
type of carry insurance or some type of legal membership-based defense plan.
Exactly.
yeah, and and no, don't wait until it's time to call before you try to look at now what type of insurance, what type, what is this?
It's too
Because you
late.
might not have right, you might not have what you need. So you want to have already done the scenarios to see what do I have, and in case I need it, and hopefully you never will. That
And
you
also
have
learning
what
how to
you need.
humble ourselves to, de-escalate situations so that they don't go this far. Every day we see videos that could have ended 12 minutes before if somebody had just been big enough to walk away. You know, and I'm not saying turn your back on a person that's being, super aggressive and trying to be overly intimidating. but do the best you can to de-escalate the situation so that everybody goes home, not to the hospital, to the graveyard, or to jail.
You know, just to
And quite
piggyback off of
often, I see more than often than not, it's women that get in these situations that they just take things way too far, and they get in a car and drive over people, drive into the other person's car, like every day. We see it every day, and no one's is humbling themselves enough to say, you know what, girl, you're not even worth it. It just goes from 0 to 160.
I tell them ammo costs too much. You're not worth the cost of a bullet. Leave me
You
alone.
see what I'm
Go away.
saying?
you know, just
So
Exactly.
just
Knowing the letter of the law, I have to just. You can hear me, okay? Right? I see you leaning in. Okay, I have to disagree with you on that. And we were talking about this the other day, but a few years ago, I was reading a thing from the FBI in an interview, and shooters, black shooters that have shot someone with everything that would be considered a justified shoot in the FBI's eyes are still charged, even though they followed the letter of the law. So the FBI puts that out there. I mean, you definitely need insurance. You definitely need a good lawyer. But when you pull that trigger as a black person, no, I don't care if you're following the letter of the law. You're going to jail. They're charging you.
But if you,
They
They're
didn't interview me.
yeah, if
Well,
you know the law, then you also know to shut up too.
they didn't when they were interviewing. They were using their FBI statistics. You know, they keep all the statistics of shootings and all that stuff, and they were saying that their shootings 8 times out of 10, that person is going to jail if they are black or they put in there or dark skinned Hispanic. So when you're black, you pull the trigger. Just expect you're going to jail. That's just how it's going to be.
I've
and not
had
Mhm.
only
two
the data.
self-defense. I've had two self-defense shootings. Um, one, the person did die, and I didn't spend a night in jail
No, well,
both times.
you were lucky. According to FBI, you were lucky.
I don't
twice,
have luck.
twice you done shot somebody in self-defense meets.
Twice.
Wow.
Would have been 3 times, but one of the guys I really didn't view him as a threat. But even the cop said, "Oh man, you could have shot him." I'm like, "Yeah, I know,"
Oh
because
my
he was in
God.
my house. The other guy
Oh.
was in my backyard. He died in my backyard with a gunshot wound in his chest and a
Mm.
357 Magnum in his waistband. And the other
Mm.
guy had a 38 that he pulled on me, and I shot at him. Luckily, for him, I missed. But all they did was confiscate my firearm.
That's why you
I didn't
carry.
serve a day in jail. My attorney didn't even have to come down. I didn't even make an official statement.
Well, when they're on your property, you should be okay. In your
And
yard.
it's generally because of how the castle doctrine laws are here in Michigan. There's
Mm-hmm.
an automatic rebuttable presumption of imminent threat when someone is breaking into your home or attempting to break into your home, business, or your occupied vehicle. And even in your yard, which is considered the curtilage, is part of your castle. So, and then also both instances, they had a weapon on. So even the stand your ground law was in my favor.
Mm.
And
But
so,
once again, I also didn't talk my way into getting charged. And that's one of the biggest problems with, especially
Right.
black
She
folks.
just should have hushed.
We don't know how to shut up.
Yes.
We quick to say, "Oh, I got First Amendment right." Well, you got a Fifth Amendment right too. You should use that one right now. Shut up.
Uh, uh,
correct.
But we
Fred
think we
Sanford
can
used
talk
to
our
say,
way
"Shut
out
up,
of stuff.
shutting up."
Yeah. But we think we can talk our way out of stuff. You can't talk your way out of stuff in this white man system. It
Well,
don't
she
work
was
that
trying
way.
to explain herself on the call to the police. Girl, just
That's
call
the
the
worst thing to
police.
do too, is trying to explain yourself to 911.
Oh my
Because
God.
everything you saying is being recorded and it will be used against you.
well, they say
Mhm.
that you say can be used against you, but nothing you say can be used to help you. And
Also, nothing you say can be used against you also.
Mhm.
Sometimes you say nothing. That's why you have to verbally invoke your Fifth Amendment right. You
Mhm.
just can't be silent and assume that they know that you're invoking your Fifth Amendment right.
Yeah,
You have
because
to verbally say, "I'm invoking my
just-
Fifth Amendment right."
Didn't they just recently pass a law now that the police don't even have to give you that Miranda anymore?
Nope, they don't.
Correct.
Right.
And they only had to do that when they were questioning you.
Mhm.
But now they
Mhm.
don't have to do that. Now it's just implied that you should know this, which
Right.
most people should know this. I mean,
Right. And they're hoping that you don't.
You watch cop drama shows and figure that out.
Right.
You watch enough Law and Order, you should know that.
Yeah, they're hoping that you don't know. So whatever it is they're trying to put on you, it can stick. And you
And
can
that's what
start
generally
talking.
happens is most people don't know.
Yeah.
And unfortunately for us as civilians, ignorance of the law is no excuse. It's an excuse for the police, but not for us.
Indeed.
There was a case a few years ago where the person he invoked his Fifth Amendment rights, but then continued to talk to the police about other things. So the court said, no, you invoked your Fifth Amendment right, but then you waived it because you ended up talking to police, even though it wasn't about the situation. So it got him on a technicality.
Yeah. I see First Amendment auditors do that all the time. When the police illegally detain them, they say, "Oh, if I'm being detained, then I'm going to invoke my Fifth Amendment right." And then the police get to talk to them, and they start talking again. I'm like, "Oh, you just waived your Fifth Amendment right there, being stupid because you want to keep running your mouth."
So we are about to close out, and we want to thank you guys for coming on, coming on to share your comments. What's funny, Phyllis?
This
She laughing
comment
at me.
this comment someone typed in. It must be somebody's kid.
Oh yeah, saying y'all are boring. Not
Y'all need to
y'all,
go home
us.
and get y'all life together.
But you know what? And so says the person who's listening to us talk. Okay, so
you go to bed, Craig.
At any rate, we just want you to give your closing comments. And I'll start it out, and then we'll go around to Tyson and Frosty, and then Meeks and David, and then we'll end with Phyllis. Just my closing comments are that it seems just as if people go from 0 to 100 so fast, and they don't think to take steps, like someone mentioned, there's pepper spray, there's another thing that there's other things you can do, from going from no weapon to shooting a weapon, that if you feel like your life or somebody's attacking you and might hurt you, have other things that you can use to defend yourself, in addition to a weapon. And because nobody's saying don't carry and don't do all, we're saying make it appropriate in how you respond when you feel like you are being attacked. And so that's my closing comment. Tyson, what would you like to close out with?
Come back to me. I need to do something. Come back to me.
Okay. Frosty, what are your closing comments?
My closing comments basically on that, the bystander effect, as we were talking about people's off reporting. And I think that if someone would take the initiative, and I'm not just saying to physically intervene, but reach out to the authorities, because usually what happens with the bystander effects, we think that someone may have called the police or something, right? So I think that we need to take it upon ourselves. When we see something, we say something, we do something about it. Again, I know not everybody's going to be like Meeks and jumping in and intervening physically, but we can say something, But most of all, we can call the police, call the authorities. Because I'm thinking that if somebody would have said something to the young lady, that woman may have not have gotten shot. If someone would have intervened, that little space where they broke up, someone could have inserted himself to say, but unfortunately, that's how it is. So yeah, bystander effect. Someone needs to make that call. Everyone needs to make the call.
All right, thank you. Are you ready, Tyson?
T said, I don't really need to go back over there. She made a great statement there. We need to be more aware, and we need to be more about. We got instructors here. We got firearms instructors that are here on this particular session, And those of us who are not firearms instructors, we can be that voice of reason. We can be those people who would just even pick up the phone and dial 911 or scream or something along those lines. But we can always find a way to de-escalate a situation as best we can. And when we don't have a choice, you just don't have a choice. But we got to do better than standing around watching something and then just recording it and not even calling 911.
Thank you for that. And how about you, Meeks? What are your closing comments?
Quick question, Tyson, is that a trombone behind you?
And
To the other side.
Well, yes, that is. That is a
Okay.
trombone.
and a purple rain T-shirt.
That's a movie poster that we haven't got the frame for. The Purple Rain movie poster for the home theater.
Okay, I saw that.
Blow him up again so I can see it back there.
Okay, hold on.
Okay. You play that instrument?
Yes, that's one of them.
Oh, cool.
That's nice.
Yeah, that's one of them.
I'm sorry, I just had to know. I'm like, is that a
luggage
rack or
Meeks and that's the Marvel Black Panther office chair.
Okay.
I didn't notice that. Okay, yeah. Wakanda forever. Yeah. I like
and that t-shirt, is that Coleon Noir or?
Yes.
Look at you.
Yes.
Well, you know he rocking Coleon. He down there in Texas with it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
But yeah, my closing remark is, know the laws. These are not laws made for us granted. This is not our country. This is not our system. We were born here. We built this for them. Our ancestors built this for them, but we're here now. We can take advantage of certain parts of it, but understand that we're not going to be treated the same way as everyone else in this country. Even the people who come here willingly, they get treated better than we do. But still, we need to know the laws to navigate this system. And at the end of the day, guns up, shoot back.
All right, and David, what are your closing comments?
My comment is more towards state of mind on this and several other shootings. And this is probably going to be a subject for another day. I'm gonna open a can of worms here, probably. But not everybody that owns a gun has a state of mind to have a gun, which is an issue to me.
True.
I'm not anti-gun, but I'm not pro-gun, and I say that because in Iraq we've had firefights. I've gone in buildings with groups of guys that we just had a firefight with, and we don't shoot the target person, and we walk out. Then we got people out here that freak out, pull up on some side of somebody on the road because they cut them off, and they fire 14 shots into their car. So state of mind is people's state of mind, and owning a weapon is more important than knowing and then taking classes or anything. That person's state of mind, what they are capable of, should be taken into account.
All right, that's very, very important. Your state of mind, exactly. I agree. Phyllis, any closing comments from you? Close us out.
My closing comments are: calm down, humble yourself, and keep your hands to yourself, because you never know, like, how far you've pushed somebody. You could be the straw that broke the camel's back. And I know she never thought that woman was going to come from behind that counter with a gun. She saw the gun before she shot, because she started ducking and dodging. As she's walking off, she saw it. It was too late then, And I'm sure she had second thoughts about, following her behind the counter and, jumping on her, taking advantage of her disposition, being at work and not expecting it and all that. Calm down, because she got shot, which probably is going to affect her the rest of her life. And then the shooter, she's definitely affected, taking her away from her family and children and whomever.
All right. So again, we want to thank you guys for taking out time to join us and give your judge and jury comments on if you think so. We'll follow this to see what indeed is going to happen, and we might invite you back during the trial. We could have our own little trial panel, jury panel. That would be neat. So we will certainly keep abreast of everybody, and thank you so much. And if you thank you to our viewers, if you have a subject or a topic that you think will make a good topic for Second Amendment Sis, be sure to let us know and join us on our Facebook page, Second Amendment Sis Podcast. So that's it, and we will see you guys next time on Second Amendment Sis.
Thanks, everybody.
Fingers crossed, everyone.